Hey everyone, Tactics here with another Shadowlands beta roundup video. We saw quite a few changes to classes and soulbinds this week, but first let's start with some new items added to the Windfury, the vendor in the Maw. So she got a few more things that are permanent buffs that'll help you in both the Maw and Torghast that you can now buy with Stygia. This includes things that will help you out in the Maw against the Eye of the Jailer debuff abilities, as well as things that will just permanently buff your options in Torghast, such as your anima powers. Overall, this is just a nice little change that gives people some things they can work towards with their Stygia aside from just buying sockets. Now, after that, let's start with the class changes. So we did have this blue post today talking a little bit about Shadow Priests. So they saw a few nerfs and smaller buffs. First, Dark Thought, it is now 1 stack instead of 5 stacks. For those that don't know, this is the instant cast Mind Blast. It can also be cast during Mind Seer or Mind Flay, and it saw its duration increase to 10 seconds. Overall, I think 1 is probably a little overkill. 5 was definitely excessive, as I noted here. I think maybe a happy medium of like 2 to 3 would be good for this ability. Mind Blast did see a slight insanity generation bump, but along with this, Mind Flay and Mind Seer both saw their damage reduced by 15%, and Devouring Plague saw a fairly significant nerf as well, 15% initial, 12% periodic. Auspicious Spirits, the talent, also saw a 15% damage nerf, but had its sanity generation doubled from 1 to 2. And Searing Nightmare saw its sanity cost reduced from 35 to 30. Overall, I don't think this is surprising to see these nerfs. Shadow Priests were pretty strong in raids and also in Mythic Plus on the beta, so the nerfs were definitely needed. I think these nerfs, I don't think it's going to be too much. I think they'll still be a perfectly fine class, as it doesn't really hurt their 2 to 3 target damage very much. But it is a pretty strong direct hit to their single target damage. Overall, though, I think Shadow Priest, you will be fine. Moving on. So pretty much every single class in this build today got some conduit adjustments. I'm not going to go over all those changes because there are an absolute ton of them, but I will put this link in the description if any of you guys want to check it out. Starting off with the Demon Hunter changes outside of conduits, they saw a buff to their Chaos Theory legendary, giving Blade Dance a 30% chance, up from 10% chance to grant Chaotic Blades, and increasing the damage of Chaos Strike by 50% instead of 25%. They also saw a nerf to their Venthyr Covenant ability, Sinful Brand, just taking a pretty significant damage nerf there. After Demon Hunters, we did see a pretty big nerf to Marksmanship, at least in Mythic Plus. Their Serpent Stalker's Trickery legendary, which used to allow your aim shot with trick shot effect to also shoot Chimera shots at targets. Now it just also applies Serpent Sting when you shoot aim shot. Definitely painful for Marksmanship Hunters, as this was a big reason for their dominance in Mythic Plus. They did also see a nerf to Flayed Shot, their Venthyr Covenant ability. Again, a pretty substantial damage nerf, as well as a duration nerf, as well as a proc chance nerf. So this got hurt a lot. So I'm a little unsure as to why they just went with a triple whammy nerf here. I figured nerfing them in a couple or preferably only one area and seeing how that goes, but I guess all 3 nerfed. It's not a good day to be a Marksmanship Hunter. That's all I can say. Moving on, we have some changes to Rogue. So Subtlety Rogue saw their Shadow Strike change to be a melee range ability from a 25-yard range ability. I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. It probably shouldn't have been a 25-yard range ability. And they also saw nerfs to a bunch of their Covenant abilities. So the Kyrian ability saw a damage nerf and a combo point nerf. Flagellation saw a cooldown increase, as well as a haste nerf and a buff duration nerf. And then Sepsis saw it changed a little bit, so instead of vanishing you from sight, it now lets you use a stealth ability for 5 seconds. Just 1 stealth ability. So a little change to Sepsis there. From Rogues, we have some changes to Shaman. So they saw some legendary tuning today. So Elementals saw nerfs to their Earthquake legendary, which was dealing a ton of damage. And it's still probably going to be pretty decent. It's just not going to be absolutely overpowered. They also saw nerfs to their Lava Surge legendary, now only increasing your Lava Burst damage by 20%, down 30%. But they did see a slight buff to their Flame Shock cooldown reduction legendary, which reduces the cooldown on your elementals by giving Flame Shock a 50% increased critical chance instead of 30%. Enhancement saw buffs to their Windfury weapon, pretty significant buffs from 10.8% up to 32.4%. So that's nice to see. They also saw their Windfury legendary buffed, now increasing Windfury weapon damage by 100% for 12 seconds. And they also saw a buff to their Flame Shock periodic damage, increasing level. So it's now 12% instead of 10%. They did get nerfs to both their Maelstrom weapon and their Storm Strike legendaries. But overall, I think Enhancement Shamans did see a pretty decent boost with it. It's not going to fix their problems. They're not going to all of a sudden be super competitive, because that's not really a damage issue. It's partially a damage issue, but also partially a kit issue. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see too many changes on that front. Next, we saw a couple adjustments to demo locks. First, their Demon Bolt legendary did see a nerf. It's now 8% per stack instead of 25% per stack, up to 4 times. And the Implosion legendary, it just got a buff in single or 2 target scenarios. As it now will grant 1% haste for 8 seconds per each imp exploded if they only hit 1 or 2 targets, on top of what it already did. In addition to this, they actually saw Axe Toss change. It used to be just a stun that would interrupt stun immune targets. It is now a stun and an interrupt, so it will always still interrupt the target, which is a big plus for them in content like Mythic Plus, where not having that interrupt was really hurting them. The Soulbind changes, we actually saw some pretty nice Soulbind changes this week. But what they did actually, the capstone talent, which was previously at the end of the tree, is now at the top of the tree. In pretty much every case, they've moved the big, exciting talent from the bottom to the top. And overall, I think this is just a fantastic change. I mean, it makes the Soulbinds a lot more exciting and relevant. You see these fun abilities, and you're like, oh wow, I really want to play around with that. Oh wait, I have to get to Renown 20, whatever it is, which will take you, like a couple months. Instead, you now get to play with that right away. You get these fun abilities right off the bat, and I think it's a great change. So props to Blizzard for this change. I think it's definitely moving the system forward in a positive way. Also, there was a bunch of Covenant tuning on Soulbind tuning to Covenant, sorry, on top of this. Again, not going to go over it all, but I will post it in the description for those of you that want to read it. But that is it for this week's beta roundup, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe so that you're notified when I post more Warcraft content. You can also check me out on Twitch or follow me on Twitter for updates, both at Tactics. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.